You are now listening to the Jay Porks Experience. Listen free on iTunes or at theandydareshow.com. Now, here's Jay.
Yo, what is the word, people? Welcome to another action-packed edition of the Jay Porks Experience. I'm Jay Porks. With me, as always, on the other side of the glass, making sure this is a well-oiled podcast machine every single week. Growing with popularity. Over half of a Twitter follower right now, every week, is nobody. Okay, I've got some things to get to. As always, I always got some things to get to. But a lot of it is going to focus on television. A lot of it is going to focus on television and shows that are on TV. Or may not be on TV. Or might be on Netflix. Let's kick it off with everybody's favorite color. Orange is the new black. So, Orange is the New Black was supposed to premiere on Netflix this past Friday night at midnight Eastern. Last year, the plans were to unveil the new season at midnight on whatever day it was. I believe it was also a Friday. But at midnight, I realized that they were going by the California time midnight. So I had to wait till 3 o'clock in the morning that night to see Orange is the New Black. The other night, Thursday, I'm sitting around. I have nothing to do. All of a sudden, I'm reading tweets. Orange is the New Black is available early. They made it available early. So I'm like, uh-oh. Let's go check this out. So that's what I did. I checked out the first 2 episodes of Orange is the New Black, and then I took a step back. I took a step back because last year I ran through season 2 in 2 days. What might have been 3. And I ended up watching it again. I want to enjoy it. So I took a break. Not a break. It was Thursday and it's Tuesday now, so. Watched the first 2 episodes of season 3. I enjoyed it as a fan. And then I wake up the next morning to articles titled Orange is the New Black Underwhelming Season 3. And this one from the Huffington Post, which is amazing. How Orange is the New Black misrepresents women's federal prison and why it matters. So this article basically lists a bunch of things that are really happening in women's federal prison. For example, most women in federal prison committed low-level drug crimes. This is true. People think of federal prison as a lockup for the nation's worst criminals. The Orange is the New Black writers got pretty creative, from Pennsatucky murdering a nurse for commenting on her 7 abortions, I think it was 6, to Miss Claudette trafficking children to clean houses. But while it may not make for an exciting backstory, 6 in 10 women in real federal prison are there for non-violent drug crimes. For every woman who has committed a murder, there are 99 drug offenders. Almost none of the 99 are international drug smugglers like Alex Voss. Most of them are women incarcerated for crack cocaine or methamphetamine were caught with less than 100 grams, the weight of an average bar of soap. Many sold small amounts of drugs to support their own addiction or, like Tasty and Daya, worked as low-level assistant in a relative's operation. Fact number 2, most women in federal prison have children under 18. This is true. After writing a letter a day for 6 days, Dorothy Gaines caught the attention of civil rights advocates, the news media, and finally President Clinton. In 2000, he commuted her sentence, allowing her to return home to her family. Yet her family is still haunted by the prison system. Dorothy has struggled to find work with a felony conviction on her record. During her first year in prison, her son Philip attempted suicide 3 times, and her eldest daughter Natasha had tried to drop out of her nursing program to take care of him. Dorothy has struggled to undo the damage of 6 years she lost with her son. Philip went from a Boy Scout on the honor roll to a 9th grade dropout. He has since been convicted of cocaine possession and robbing 2 men at a gas station. Psychiatrists told Dorothy that he should have been treated long ago for schizophrenia and depression. Last year, Philip was found guilty of a second robbery and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Just like Dorothy in 1994, he leaves behind a 9-year-old child. This is basically Dorothy Gaines got arrested in 1994. So they're chronicling her. They're comparing her to people in Orange is the New Black. Fact number 3, many women need counseling and medical help, not prison. Wow, Crazy Eyes, Jimmy and Lorna are the only characters to display any mental health issues on the show. In reality, 62% of all women in federal prison suffer mental health problems. Jails are now our county's largest mental health providers. That is scary. Read that sentence again. Jails are now our country's largest mental health providers. And if you want to find crime victims, look in prison. The vast majority of women in federal prison have been victims of physical or sexual abuse. Among those who sold drugs to feed their own addiction, roughly 2/3 were abused as children. 90% of women incarcerated for killing their male partner had been abused by them and had committed their crime out of self-defense. We should not excuse their crimes by pointing to histories of abuse, but we should wonder if prisons are, as Piper Kernan writes herself, a place where the U.S. government now puts not only the dangerous but also the inconvenient. Are we incarcerating these women to resolve the societal problems or to hide them? So basically it says I'm supposed to, like me and you, we're supposed to take action now by sharing this article on Twitter with the facts. 58% of women in federal prison are in federal prison for non-violent, low-level drug offenses. Fact number 2, 56% of women in federal prison have children under 18. And fact number 3, 54% of women in federal prison have suffered physical or sexual abuse in their lifetime, even though we're not pointing to histories of that to make excuses. And I just have to say this. I mean, there's a bunch of thought processes out there. People are trying to convince people that, listen, you watch Orange is the New Black, but I need you to understand this isn't what real women's prison is like. This isn't what goes on in a real women's prison. And to that I say, good. What do I care about what's happening in a real women's prison? Does a real women's prison have Donna from That 70s Show going down on hot chicks? No? Then I'm not really interested in what's going on in a real women's prison. If I cared that much, listen, I think that the prison system is fucked. That's what this country does. That's what they do for, what's it say, not only the dangerous but the inconvenient? Yeah, okay. And, oh, look at this. Most women in federal prison have children under 18. Yeah, well, because most women in federal prison did crimes and they're prisoners. And most prisoners have children at young ages. Or a lot of people, or people who have children at young ages, are more prone to commit crimes because they're shorter on cash than you. I mean, I don't get why am I supposed to, does everything I watch on television, do I have to compare it to what actually happens IRL in real life? Do I really need that? Do I really care? Listen, if you show what really happens in federal women's prison, it will be this. It'll be Big Cindy times 1,000. That's what it'll be. There'll be no hot girls there. Because hot girls don't go to prison. Hot girls get off before they get to prison. Or hot girls get well-paying escort jobs and don't have to break laws by selling crack and methamphetamine in the streets. I mean, all this, everyone's always clamoring for reality. Here's the thing. When I watch Orange is the New Black, I'm aware that that is probably not what women's prison is like. But I see hot girls. Here's the, like, for example, spoiler alert, and remind me to come back to spoiler alert in a second. In episode 2 of season 3, the prison has bed bugs, okay? So they have to burn the clothes. So all the women are walking around in bra and panties. That's it. That's the end of the story. I'm watching. It doesn't matter what happens. You got me there. If you got 100 broads, 3 of them hot, I'm down. I'm with it. And you got Donna from That 70. First of all, I'm always gonna call her Donna from That 70s Show, but it's Laura Prepon, and she plays Alex Voss in Orange is the New Black. She's got black hair, and instead of walking around in a bra and panties, she put on like this fucking garbage bag. It was mad tight and it looked like a little black dress. It was awesome. This show is so incredible. And it's so incredible that I'm not thinking about women in prison. I'm thinking that it's a TV show. I know one girl who went to prison. She told me it wasn't like that at all. She told me it wasn't like male prison. I didn't really sit down with a piece of paper and take notes and say, so what happens at 9 o'clock every day? What happened when you did this? What happened when you did that? I know somebody who went, they came home, everything's fine, chilling, so there's no beef. I didn't need to know the intricacies. Many women need counseling and medical help, not prison. Yeah, many people need counseling and medical help, not prison. The scary sentence in that paragraph is that prisons are the largest mental health providers in our country. Because if I'm going to rehabilitate someone, it's definitely going to be in prison. The person serving life in prison is going to get counseling. But me living life in life, I can't get counseling because no one noticed that I needed the counseling. Because I wasn't in jail. And another thing, spoiler alerts. Bunch of tweets. Orange is the New Black dropped, and I better not read any spoiler alerts. I'm signing off Twitter, spoiler alerts. It's a show about a women's prison. They're in jail. What am I going to spoil about that? There's nothing that can possibly be spoiled about it. Is someone going to get out of jail? What, is Piper getting out? Well, it kind of kills the show because, she's the author of that book. I don't understand. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. It's like the new hot word. Spoiler alert, they're in prison. 3 of them are hot. And it's a little too real. I mean, people want to call it underwhelming. An underwhelming season. I've only seen the first 2 episodes, and that shit was awesome, season 3. Furthermore, I don't want people who don't like shows to watch shows. Like, people who review a television show, you should be a fan of the show if you're going to review it. Because I don't need a bunch of people poking holes in theories that they didn't even believe in a week ago. Like, I've got some TV writer from Newsweek, or whatever the fucking publication is, saying that season 3 of Orange is the New Black was underwhelming because that's what his editor assigned him to do, write a story on Orange is the New Black, and he was going to be cool and write that it was underwhelming because he wants people to remember who he was. All right, I found it. I kept saying underwhelming, and I said I gotta find what website wrote this. Glide magazine, and I gotta tell you, I'm a huge fan of Glide magazine. I'm gonna scroll down. James Roberts is a nice guy. I don't know him. I'm not talking about him at all. I'm just gonna comment on what he wrote here. And it says Orange is the New Black underwhelms in season 3. A question popped into my head just a few short episodes into my epic binge of the 3rd season of Orange is the New Black. It was a question that perhaps tainted my viewing of the entire season, one that I was unable to shake throughout its 13-episode run. Like a sickness, its grip on my thoughts was unrelinquishing. Popped up once more, just as I thought it had been contained. As in the case with any good plague, it absolutely refused to be extinguished. Am I witnessing a shark jump? Try though, I did keep the faith, of which there was plenty. The first 2 seasons of Orange is the New Black were a bit of a revelation, proving that Netflix could compete with the best traditional TV had to offer, while showcasing there some much-needed diversity. It was tested again and again as season 3 meandered repeatedly into the asinine and the inane. While it never quite reached the same levels of what the actual fuck as the final few seasons of series creator Genji Cohen's previous television outing Weeds did, there was more than a few moments this season that tread dangerously close to crossing those lines. Fluidity has always been one of the trademarks of a Cohen show. As her series progresses, the scope of her narratives tend to grow and grow, eventually, as was the case with Weeds, becoming an ungainly monstrosity so far removed from their original intent that you forget what hooked you in the first place. As with biological evolution, these changes are slow at first, then all at once. The farther I got into season 3, the more I wondered if I wasn't seeing the slow beginning of what will turn into a quick decline. The first season, as you recall, introduced us to the world of Litchfield Federal Penitentiary by showing it through the world of the lily white eyes of Piper Chapman, played by Taylor Schilling, the waspiest of wasps, whose youthful misgivings came back to bite her right as life was starting to congeal. It was your classic fish out of water story, told with originality and freshness that kept us glued to the couch and chattering on social media for weeks and months after its premiere. Season 2 moved us slightly away from the Piper story, giving us insight into the lives of other women locked up beside her, and adding depth to the cast that had, until then, been supporting. Despite its expanded focus, Season 2 remained more or less Piper-centric. Its narrative arcs, while independent of Piper's larger story, were passengers along the ride down Chapman Trail. As of Season 3, it is clear that no longer Piper's show. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. The other inmates of Litchfield have proven themselves to be every bit engaging and intriguing as Piper was in Season 1. So giving them their chance to shine, even at the expense of Piper's story, doesn't need to be a negative. However, especially during the first half of the season, there was a blatant and glaring lack of focus that keeps Season 3 from reaching the heights of its predecessors. The lack of focus turns Season 3 into a sort of ensemble picturesque wherein lots of things happen, but very little progresses. I'm going to stop right there. I have a problem with this. Here's the thing. The author of this book, the person who wrote the book Orange is the New Black, Piper Kernan or whatever, which is who Piper Chapman is based on, her book covers about 3 episodes of this show. The rest of it is, the writers came up with it. Second of all, there's lots of things happen, but very little progresses. Here's the thing. It's a show about prison. Piper's the main character. She's in jail for carrying a bag of drug money one time. So she's the maximum going to be in this jail for 24 months. It has to, maybe, give or take. The show has to move as slow as possible to maximize the amount of seasons you're going to have. See, because you can't start a show with, this woman was sentenced to 6 years in prison, and each season be 1 year, one year happen. Because then, by the 4th year, people say, there's only 2 more years of this show. Wow. You want to keep people guessing. And that's another reason why you move away from Piper being the main character, and you move along to the other characters. Because if Piper bounces, you want to have something else going on. And as a person watching this show who loves the lesbian pollen that goes on in this show, I am very much interested in the backstories of the other characters too. And I gotta tell you, the backstories of the characters make the show, and it's a lot like, when I see that, I'm like, wow, this is where the guys from Better Call Saul thought, let's incorporate more backstories. Because that's what it is. They're pulling back. They're seeing what happened. I love it. Jump the shark. When I watch a show about a women's prison, I know nothing's going to happen. And in that nothing, I'm going to find something. The point of it is, here's the whole point of this all. Oz was like the greatest show ever, and now we have one without penises. And that's all I got to say about that. Now that there's an Oz without penises, I'm happy about that. I'll sign up for that. And I'll watch the show, quote-unquote, jump the shark, and quote-unquote, move slow, picturesque, no story. Nothing's happening. Yeah, I hope nothing happens so the show will stay on the air. If I had a choice between one action-packed season and 10 seasons of a show doing nothing, I'll take the 10 seasons of the show doing nothing. There's so little things I like on TV. Speaking of on TV, speaking of television reviews, this is not on TV. So for everybody calling this a TV review, this is not on TV. Netflix is not television. It is internet. It is streaming. It's not TV. We're doing TV reviews as if it's on TV. As if you watched it, didn't like it, and said, damn, this show's really taken away from another show that could be on in this time slot. There's no time slot. If you don't like Orange is the New Black, tell Netflix to keep their $8.95 or whatever it is. And don't get it. Me personally, I'm not paying for Netflix. Why do you think I only watched the first 2 episodes? I'm waiting for that shit to be streaming online somewhere. I'm not going to help Netflix fund Fuller House or whatever they're doing. I think it's just too much. There's too much media. And this coming from a guy who wants to be that. Like, I'm getting texts this week, and I swear this is true. I'm getting texts this week. How do you feel about Homer and Marge separating this season on The Simpsons? My first thought is, it's a cartoon. I'm not really attached to the characters that are drawn on a piece of paper and colored in. That much to be said about it. That's number one. It's a cartoon. It's animated. It's not real. It's a cartoon. It's drawn. Second of all, it's another example of too much media, because 10 years, it's 17 minutes of one episode. It's going to be one episode. In one episode, in the beginning, they're going to get into an argument, and they're going to get separated for the duration of that episode, and at the end, they're going to hug, and it's all going to be okay. Now, this wouldn't be news 10 years ago, but there's so many websites that need you to click on their link so they can pay for that fucking for the ads they have floating around their fucking site. So every little bit of news, every little bit is a headline. Homer and Marge separating. It's cartoon. What do I think of it as development and plot? It's a cartoon. People want to know, what do I think about it in terms of, how do I feel about a show taking characters that have been for so... It's a cartoon. It's drawn. It's colors. I can't be that attached to it. We'll get to music stuff back after this.
Hey everybody, this is Andy from the Andy Dare Show, just thanking you for checking out the Jay Porks Experience. If you want to learn more about Jay, follow him on Twitter at JayPorks. Follow him on Instagram at JayPorks. JayPorks.com for the podcast, articles, pictures, you name it. There's a running theme here. It's Jay Porks. So for 2015, if you want to support the Dare Podcast Network, all you got to do is go to theandydareshow.com and click on the Amazon banner, and you will be tipping your cap to the Jay Porks Experience and all the fine broadcasting here at Dare Network. Thanks for listening, and back to the Jay Porks Experience.
And we are back. And TV is TV. The Simpsons are a cartoon. And I understand that not everything that happens in cartoons are real. So let's just pump the brakes. We don't have to text me about The Simpsons. It's a little crazy. All right. This week, every week, the headlines, they be powered by Annie Quiet. And folks, this is tough for me. But I'm going to do it. What was it? Sweden? In Sweden, we had our buddy. Oh, hold on. Let me get the exact. In Sweden, Foo Fighters were playing a show. I don't know what the festival is. It's some festival because it is outdoors, a lot of people. All right, anyway. He tripped. Dave Grohl is playing guitar, whatever, and he falls off stage, tripped and fell off the stage. This isn't, I'm not, haha, Dave Grohl. No, nobody should fall. Even if it was Vedder, I wouldn't want him to fall. You know what I'm saying? I don't want anyone to get hurt. Just because I'm not a fan of your music doesn't mean I want you to be hurt. Okay, so Dave Grohl falls off stage during the Foo Fighters set in Sweden. They put him back on stage and cast up his leg while he's playing the rest of the show. He finishes the set. You know this is hard for me. I hate this guy. But that's rock and roll. I mean, there's nothing I could say about that. I can't look at that and say, man, Dave Grohl, you know? Now, if he makes a television series about, you know, if he calls Sonic Falls, you know, and it's a documentary series about rock stars who fell off stage and came back from it, I'm going to be upset about it. If he takes that to every city, that's going to upset me. But, you know, seeing him on stage, you know, getting his leg wrapped up and he's like sitting down playing guitar, I thought that was pretty cool. So shouts to Dave Grohl. Now, really though, I really don't want Sonic Falls as a series coming to Showtime. I don't need Netflix to re-up that, please. Sonic Tumbles, the latest Dave Grohl series. I gotta tell you, the Sonic Tumbles thing I just thought of, I wish I would have thought of this before I started recording. I would have, you know, made it better. It's a pretty good joke there. Because, you know, we had a TV show. All right. What else is going on in the land of music? Beck has new music. Beck is back to pass some new sex laws. And you can check out, I'm going to get the name of the track right now. I want to say Dreams. But I'm going to open it up to make sure. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, in case you haven't heard yet, Beck is back. Not mumbly emo morning phase Beck. Disco Fever Midnight Ventures Beck has re-entered the building. Dreams is the first song off of a new album he's been working on for a while, at which he at one point planned on getting out this summer. It started off as a heavy garage rock record, but as you can hear, it has mutated into something a bit more interesting. And that's on YouTube and Rad. Down with Beck. I got no beefs with Beck. And if there are girls out there who dig Beck, let me know. I dig Beck. I'm just letting you know. You don't have to cross me off your list of guys who are not an option, because I know who Beck is. Hashtag just saying. There's a new Refused track. Another new Refused track. It's called Dawkins Christ. And there's an album review up on AQ. Asian She introduces themselves with debut LP Milk the Fire. Milk the Fire is a cool name for a LP. Review is by Squirrel, so check it out. And did I tell you that all the stuff on Antiquiet is assuredly not 90% bullshit? It's not. We promise you that. Also, I saw this on Facebook, and I want to get into this really fast. Q1043 is the rock station it's the classic rock station in New York City. It is the flagship station for iHeartRadio, so you have us to blame for that. Sorry. It's not my fault. But there is no regular rock radio in New York City. There is none. It doesn't exist. So you have Classic Q, Q1043. So even though they're classic rock, they have a Facebook page, and they try to, you know, put posts on Facebook newsworthy, and, you know, they want you to read it. Even though they're classic rock and they're ran by old people, they think that they're going to stay hip and interactive. I've actually left several comments on every Q1043 post telling them to let somebody like me run their Facebook page, somebody young and hip and cool, and they've answered me by deleting my comments every time. But anyway, Ginger Baker had some things to say about Led Zeppelin. I don't know. In a recent interview with Forbes magazine, when asked what he thought about rock and roll titans Led Zeppelin, Ginger Baker responded, "Jimmy's a good player. I didn't think Led Zeppelin filled the void that Cream left, but they made a lot of money. I probably like about 5% of what they did. A couple of things there were really cool. What I don't like is the heavy bish bash, jing bap, jingle bash bullshit." Whoa. Talking about Zeppelin, dude. By the way, Cream, the band that Ginger Baker was in, so that's why he would say that. Baker then went in on John Bonham, saying that the Led Zeppelin drummer wasn't anywhere near what I am. He wasn't a musician. He then bashed the entire heavy metal genre, saying that he thought it was incredibly repulsive. Baker has taken shots at the Rolling Stones, The Who, Bob Dylan, and more. The documentary, Beware Mr. Baker, showcases the drummer's confrontational attitude. And this is a top 10 list, 10 drum songs. So Moby Dick number 1, Rush Tom Sawyer's number 2, The Who's Summertime Blues is number 3, Led Zeppelin Rock and Roll is number 4, Bill Collins In the Air Tonight number 5, Hot for Teacher Van Halen number 6, Fire Jimi Hendrix number 7, number 8 is The Clash I Fought the Law, number 9 a little ELP with Carnival 6, that's Emerson, Lake and Palmer, for those not getting it. And number 10, Roger Daltrey, Under a Raging Moon. It's Ken Dashow reporting. Another old guy. Everybody's old, trying to do young things. I just don't get it. Ginger Baker, folks, if you need him. Further, and he might not be wrong. I don't play the drums, so I don't know anything. I can't tell you if John Bonham is not a musician. And when he says, "I don't think Led Zeppelin filled the void that Cream left, but they made a lot of money," yeah, that's a little self-promotion happening there. But I probably like about 5% of what they did is a very truthful statement, and I wouldn't call that trashing the band. Led Zeppelin released a lot of music. It's not like Led Zeppelin put out one album. Led Zeppelin put out a lot of music. And if you give me 100 Led Zeppelin songs, I'm not saying I like 5, but I definitely don't like 50. Well, don't like is a strong word. You see, you can't say that nowadays. Like in 2015, I can't say that, like, I don't like this band, and then, somebody's going to play me Justin Bieber, and, obviously that's bad music, and the band that I don't really like their music, well, at least their music's not really harming the masses. But at the same time, why does everybody have to like every band? And furthermore, Q1043, I just said, Q1043 is the flagship station, iHeartRadio, New York City. Q1043.com needed to take this quote from Forbes magazine for what? They don't need clicks. They don't need money. They have money. They're owned by Clear Channel. So why are you telling me that nobody else had this story? It's not like Rolling Stone had this. This is just nowhere. Out of nowhere, they just felt like using a quote from a Forbes story. They thought they were going to get a nice quote from Ginger Baker. Ginger Baker is like the Buddy Rich of now. He hates you, and stop playing so loud. All right. We're going to move to some emails. Now, The email segment, if I was a lucky enough guy to be able to get in touch with somebody in the Be Real and Funky Field Tips camp, the email segment would be sponsored by Funky Field Tips. Funky Field Tips would be the premier tip for the smoking connoisseur if they were to email me back and tell me that I'm allowed to use them as a sponsor. Okay. First email coming from Billy. How do you feel? See, there we go. How do you feel about Homer and Marge's separation? It's a cartoon. Why doesn't anyone understand? I get a handful of emails a week, and one of them was Homer and Marge. Really? It's a cartoon, and it's gonna last 13 minutes. And they needed to get Lena Dunham on the show, or whatever her name is, the ugly chick from Girls. Another thing about TV. I don't care. I don't care how much sex you have in that show. I'm not watching 4 ugly girls just because, ugly girls watch ugly girls and they think all girls should be gross looking. You look fucking weird. So Homer and Marge, that's what somebody wants to know. Nicole checking in. You guys can tell me where you're from. Jay, have you gone and seen the Entourage movie yet? Hashtag the boys are back. It doesn't say, it's not an actual hashtag. She wrote the word hashtag the boys are back. I have not. That's another thing I'm waiting to become illegal on the internet so I can steal it. So I'll check out Entourage. Did they greenlight Entourage 2 yet? Meanwhile, USA Today has a headline, yes, the Entourage movie is terrible. That doesn't mean it's not worth seeing. Do I have to break down like the English language? If a movie is terrible, that exactly means it's not worth seeing. That's exactly what that means. So if you say something is bad, it doesn't mean but you should check it out. Like if you say, hey Jay, do you like sushi? I'd say, nah, it's terrible, but you should try it. Like, I don't like it, so I'm not going to suggest it to you. And furthermore, another person who, if you didn't watch 8 seasons of Entourage, you can't go into the movie and review it. It's not a regular movie. It's a long Entourage episode. It's a long Entourage episode. And every fan of Entourage is okay with that. And every movie buff, nobody cares what you think. People don't. This isn't for the movie buffs. This isn't, San Andreas or whatever This is not that. This was a celebration of a great show, and they're making a movie. And they're going to do a second movie. They said they were going to greenlight. They said they had to hit a certain number to greenlight Entourage 2. And they said that they might hit that number before the weekend. I just Googled Entourage 2 and didn't get any search results, which frightens me a little bit. Listen, how many premieres can you have? It premiered on the 3rd. That was on a Wednesday. Then it was on, or it was the 6th. Then it was on a Thursday, or Friday. People are screening it all over. Of course, they're streaming it online. USA Today, get with the times. Entourage movie isn't for movie buffs. The Entourage movie is for Entourage fans. And enough people kept that on the air for 8 years. So, people are going to see the movie. Listen, I'm stealing the movie. Sorry. That's just how I roll. Like, this isn't Mad Max. It's Entourage movie. If you want to go see Insidious 3 or something, go see it. Have fun. I'll be waiting for Straight Outta Compton. Meanwhile, Straight Outta Compton's going to be the #1 flick without a commercial, by the way. When Straight Outta Compton hits theaters, it's going to hit #1, and there have been exactly 0 commercials for it. Because, racism no longer exists. That's the biggest piece of fiction you were ever told. The last email comes from a guy named Tad, and it just has 4 words in it. Money in the Bank, question mark, question mark. And he's referring to the WWE pay-per-view last night. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to get into it because I don't know. I don't want people to start turning this off if I get into sports entertainment for 15 minutes an episode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold that off. I do have opinions about that. But I'm going to hold that off. If you want me to, do 7 minutes or something, not even 7 minutes, but like, if you want me to handle a wrestling topic every now and then, send me an email this week, jporkspodcast@gmail.com. Hit me up and say, hey, we like fake fights. Because I don't like real fights. I don't like MMA or boxing. That's boring to me. But, I like the Attitude Era. I turn it on every now and then. Better than Real Housewives of Long Island. Better than Mob Wives. Better than, who's that fat chick? Honey Boo Boo. It's better than that. At least no one's on that show pretending they're black. Running the NAACP. All right. But I will do this. Okay. I won't give you my feelings on Money in the Bank yet because I don't want to get people angry and mad about wrestling. But I will combine it with weed. High Times had a story a couple of weeks ago. Well, on the 9th. It's actually 6 days ago. That ex-WWE star Val Venus proclaims that pot saved his life. You guys remember Val Venus? Former World Wrestling Federation superstar Val Venus has been a huge proponent of medicinal marijuana for years. In an interview published Sunday by the Inquisitor, Venus flat out stated marijuana actually saved my life. The 44-year-old Venus, whose name is Sean Morley, explained that he had 6 pins inserted into his shoulder as part of a medical procedure, and that his elbows always hurt. He took anti-inflammatory and other pain medication, but was concerned about the long-term side effects of such drugs. All that changed for Venus around 7 years ago. When I found out about marijuana and started utilizing that instead in 2008, I came off all the pharmaceuticals and never looked back. I could smoke marijuana and eat marijuana for the rest of my life and never suffer any liver disease or kidney failure due to pills. The pills will get you every single time. With marijuana, you could be 110 years old and still smoke it. Venus, who left WWE in 2009, opened his own medicinal marijuana business, the Purple Haze Lounge in Arizona in 2014, and loves to educate the public on the truth about medical pot. There's so much cannabis can do, Venus explained. I don't think that people have any reason to fear it at all. At his Twitter account, Venus refers to himself as Captain Cannabis, and along with his inspirational tweets, shares links to medicinal pot news and info. Venus is hopeful that recreational marijuana will be legalized in Arizona in 2016, so that he can reopen his vapor lounge that formerly served medicinal pot patients until being shut down over a relocation issue. In the meantime, Venus will continue to spread the word on weed in order to help create, quote, a huge paradigm shift in the way people think and feel about cannabis. Hello, ladies. Yes. I gotta tell you, that let's go through this. There's only one sentence that matters here. Could eat and smoke marijuana for the rest of my life and never suffer any liver or kidney failure due to pills. I'm not saying that marijuana is a pain reliever. I'm saying that if you take 100 people in pain and pot works for 5 of them, that's good enough. And I think Val Venus, who I can't believe has a business called the Purple Haze Lounge, that's amazing. I mean, they don't let sports entertainers smoke pot. I heard Kevin Nash in an interview, and he said he was saying that they couldn't smoke pot because they would get drug tested on a Friday, and they would turn around and get drug tested on like a Sunday morning. It was that serious. And then the next story Kevin Nash told was about that time him and Razor Ramon and I think Mr. Perfect split a bottle of 100 phenobarbitals and took them all in one shot. With Scott Hall, Razor Ramon taking 34 and saying that that's why he was more fucked up than the rest of the guys because he took 34 instead of 33. Phenobarbitals. I don't care what the pill is. You're taking 33, you should die. And then you got Val Venus, who had a couple of pins in his arm. And he's like, you know what? Let me just smoke weed. And he's off it. And he's fine. And he could probably still do porn if he wants to. I'm not sure if he actually did porn. That was his gimmick in the ring. Hello, ladies. You kidding? All right. I'm leaving. I was waving to the computer. You can't see me, literally. I'm literally getting out of here. But before I do, I'm going to give you the list of websites you need to go to help keep me in business. First of all, every week there is... No, wait. First of all, where I was born and bred is concertconfessions.com. That's where you'll find your live music news and reviews for the fans by the fans. We've got new reviews up on the scroll. Oh, what a difference a week makes. Here's what we got for you. Tame Impala at the pageant in St. Louis, June 1st. Our man Darby. We got Rob Zombie, June 10th, Milwaukee, June 14th in Indy. Our buddy Concert Chick. We've got the Rolling Stones, bro. The Rolling Stones are on the scroll right now at concertconfessions.com. Our man Ron Man went and checked them out in Orlando. This is like the highest trafficking review in a long time. I was very excited to wake up from my afternoon nap to see the Rolling Stones up on the scroll at Concert Confessions. I don't give a fuck how old they are. Fuck that. That's awesome. So yeah, you know, the little engine that could here, Concert Confessions, we're reporting about bands like Tame Impala, bands like Rob Zombie, and bands like the Rolling fucking Stones, okay? You better recognize. And if you want to join the family, you hit me up and I'll walk you through that. Get me at jporks on Twitter. Or email me jporkspodcast@gmail. I don't care. It doesn't matter how you get me, I'm here. And I'm not going anywhere. I can't express my enthusiasm for the Rolling Stones being on Concert Confessions right now. I'm sorry. I'm really happy. Also, we've got ChristinaRocks.com. Hang the DJ, 89xradio.com. Every Sunday morning she's playing Throwback Alternative, and it's awesome. This week I tuned in right as she decided to play Pearl Jam, which has happened to me more than once. It's fine. I had somewhere to go anyway. But she's got news and reviews up there. She's got news and stuff and links and all that jazz if you go to Christina Rocks, but there's no H in Christina, remember. This is not Staten Island. It's Christina Rocks, no H. 89xradio.com every Sunday morning. Go to HQ, AndyDeer.com. You get the Tyler Cale Show. You get the flagship show, the Andy Deer Show. And you get the smooth, sultry tones of the J. Parks Experience, along with Spin Class with Tyler and Andy, and whatever else is going on the mean streets of the Deer Network. And folks, every week, every goddamn week, we have headlines that are powered by Antiquiet. Antiquiet.com is your source for quality. Until next week, a little bit of whiskey, weed, and Warren Zevon to get us through the week. Late.
This has been the J. Parks Experience. Thank you so much for listening.